Have you ever felt it? The sharp, sudden sting of a word. A word that wasn't a shout or a curse, but was somehow heavier. Maybe it was a casual joke from an old friend about your life choices, a backhanded compliment from a colleague, or a single, cutting comment left on a photo you shared online. It's a strange kind of pain, isn't it? It's not a physical wound, yet it echoes in the quiet moments of your day. You find yourself replaying the scene, dissecting the tone, searching for the intent behind the syllables. A part of you, the logical part, says, "It's just words, let it go." But another, deeper part feels a genuine ache, a subtle bruise on your spirit. You might even feel a wave of shame, not for what was said, but for your own reaction. You ask yourself, why does this affect me so much? Why can't I just be stronger? This question, this quiet confusion and feeling of powerlessness, is a universal human experience. It's the silent turmoil that follows when the outside world feels hostile and our inner world feels fragile. If you have ever felt this way, know that you are not alone. And your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a sign of a heart that is open. And today, we are going to learn not how to close that heart, but how to protect it, how to build within you a sanctuary of such profound peace that the storms of other people's words can never truly touch you. Instead of blaming yourself for being hurt, I want you to hold this one undeniable truth close to your heart. People hurt you because they themselves are hurting. This is not an excuse for their behavior, but it is the fundamental explanation. The only reason a person would feel the need to belittle, to mock, or to inflict pain on another is because they are wrestling with a deep and profound pain of their own. They project bitterness because they are filled with it. They criticize and judge because they are living under the weight of their own relentless inner critic. No matter how confident they appear, no matter how much they swagger or smile, their actions are a direct broadcast of their internal state. A person who is genuinely at peace with themselves, who feels a sense of inherent worth and inner contentment, has absolutely no need to diminish someone else to feel tall. Think of your inner world as a magnificent, ancient mountain. It has stood for millennia, solid, grounded, and possessing a quiet, unshakable strength. Other people's words, especially the hurtful ones, are like the weather. They are passing clouds, sudden gusts of wind, or even violent thunderstorms. They can be loud, they can be dramatic, and they can temporarily obscure the sun. But they cannot move the mountain. They cannot change the granite core of your being. The storm is not about the mountain. The storm is a product of atmospheric instability. In the same way, another person's negativity is not about you. It is a product of their own internal instability. The journey to true strength, then, is not about learning to fight the storm. It's about learning to become the mountain. If this idea of becoming the mountain, of discovering that unshakable core of peace within you, is already sparking a new perspective, take a moment to subscribe to Decode Explained. We journey through these intricate landscapes of the mind together, exploring the path to healing and inner strength. By joining our community, you are taking a conscious step towards understanding yourself and building a more resilient, peaceful life. The act of belittling someone else is a desperate attempt to recalibrate a person's own sense of value. It's a psychological sleight of hand. By making you feel smaller, they momentarily feel bigger. It's a flawed and temporary equation for self-esteem, one that requires a constant supply of external victims to sustain itself. Imagine a person standing in a hole. Instead of finding a ladder to climb out, they try to feel taller by digging the ground out from under everyone around them. It may give them a fleeting sense of superior height, but they are only digging their own hole deeper, trapping themselves in a world of resentment and comparison. This is the tragic reality of those who build their sense of self on the perceived smallness of others. They become trapped in what psychologists call a social comparison mindset, where their own worth is never absolute or internal, but is constantly measured against those around them. This is an exhausting and deeply unfulfilling way to live. The truth is, the person hurling the insult is the one who is ultimately diminished by their own actions. They are revealing their own lack of inner resource, their own spiritual poverty. This psychological understanding offers a radically different perspective on where true power lies. Power is not the force you exert on others. It is the stillness you cultivate within yourself. In the face of a verbal attack, you, as the mountain, remain unchanged. You don't need to borrow worth from others, and you certainly don't need to engage with every cloud that passes overhead. Your strength is in your quiet, unwavering presence. You become a witness to their storm, not a participant in it. This idea restores a sense of justice, not through revenge, but through a natural, universal law of consequences. What goes around truly does come around. There is a cause and effect to our internal states. A person who sows bitterness will inevitably reap a harvest of isolation and inner turmoil. You don't have to be the one to balance the scales of justice. In fact, your peace depends on you not taking on that role. They might leave the room before you can respond. They might talk over you. They might never acknowledge the hurt they've caused. In many situations, you won't get the satisfaction of a perfect comeback or a heartfelt apology. And that's okay, because their reckoning isn't with you. It is with themselves. Sooner or later, in one form or another, the pain they project outwards will echo back into their own lives. The most certain and inescapable consequence for them is the life they are already living, a life where hurting others feels necessary or even pleasurable. That, in itself, is a profound tragedy. Their soul erodes, their capacity for genuine connection diminishes, and they become a prisoner of their own negativity. When you understand this, your role shifts dramatically. You are no longer the victim of their malice. You become a quiet observer of a sad, self-contained drama. They may never apologize to you, but they can never truly escape themselves. And the loss of one's own peace, the slow corrosion of one's own character, is a far greater price to pay than any insult you could ever endure. This isn't just a comforting story we tell ourselves to feel better. It is rooted in a deep understanding of human psychology. Let's delve deeper into the mechanics of this. Why, exactly, does a hurting person feel the impulse to hurt? The primary mechanism at play is called projection. Projection is a defense mechanism, first conceptualized by Sigmund Freud, and later elaborated upon by his daughter, Anna Freud. In simple terms, it's when a person unconsciously takes their own unacceptable qualities or feelings and ascribes them to other people. For example, a person who is deeply insecure about their own intelligence might be the first to call someone else stupid. A person secretly ashamed of their financial situation might make jokes about a friend's spending habits. They are, in essence, offloading their own inner baggage onto you. You become a screen onto which they project the movie of their own insecurities. When you realize this, the insult loses its power. It's not a factual report about you. It's a leaked confidential memo about them. Their words are a confession disguised as an accusation. Brené Brown, a renowned research professor who has spent decades studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy, offers another critical piece of this puzzle. Her work reveals that much of our aggressive behavior, blame, criticism, cruelty, is born from shame. Shame is that intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of love and belonging. When people feel trapped in shame, they often react in one of three ways. They move away, by hiding and keeping secrets. They move toward, by trying to people, please and appease. Or, most relevant to our discussion, they move against, by trying to gain power over others through aggression and blame. As Brené Brown puts it, shame is the swampland of the soul. When someone is sinking in that swampland, they will desperately thrash about, and in doing so, they will often try to pull others down with them. The louder their judgment, the more vicious their criticism, the more you can be sure that it is a shield. They are using their words as armor to protect a deeply vulnerable, shame-filled part of themselves. So when you are faced with someone's cruelty, you can learn to see past the aggressive exterior and recognize the scared, hurting person within. You don't have to excuse their behavior, but this understanding allows you to depersonalize it. It's not about your worthiness, it's about their struggle with their own. This brings us to a common misconception about strength. We are often taught that strength is about fighting back, about having the last word, about proving the other person wrong. We're told to stand up for ourselves, which we often interpret as entering the verbal battlefield and winning. But this is a trap. Engaging with a person who is projecting their pain onto you is like wrestling with a cloud. It is an exhausting, pointless exercise that only drains your energy. By arguing, by defending yourself, by trying to win, you are implicitly accepting the premise of their attack. You are validating that their opinion has the power to define you. You are stepping off your mountain and wading into their storm. But the mountain does not argue with the wind. It simply stands. True strength, the quiet, immovable strength we are cultivating, is not about winning their game. It's about realizing you don't have to play at all. This wisdom is not new. It is the cornerstone of ancient Stoic philosophy, a school of thought practiced by figures like the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius and the statesman Seneca. Stoicism, which forms the philosophical bedrock for modern therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is built on a simple yet profound distinction: understanding what is within our control and what is not. You cannot control what other people say. You cannot control their thoughts, their feelings, or their insecurities. To try to do so is to set yourself up for perpetual frustration. But you have absolute sovereign control over one thing: your own mind, your interpretations, your responses, your inner state. That is your kingdom. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, a private journal of his own reflections, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of becoming the mountain. The events, the words, the insults are outside of you. They are the weather. Your strength is the realization that your inner self, your core being, is a separate entity, immune to the passing storm. It is the practice of gently but firmly placing your attention on what you can control, your own peace. So, how do we build this mountain? How do we cultivate this inner fortress of tranquility? It begins with a concept from humanistic psychology, championed by the great psychologist Carl Rogers: unconditional positive regard. Rogers observed that for a person to grow and reach their potential, they need an environment of acceptance and warmth, where they are valued for who they are, not for what they do. Tragically, many of us did not receive this consistently in childhood, and the people who lash out at others are almost certainly operating from a deep deficit of it. They seek validation externally because they lack it internally. The powerful move you can make is to begin giving this gift to yourself. It is the practice of self-acceptance. It is deciding that your worth is non-negotiable. It is not contingent on your achievements, your appearance, your productivity, or, most importantly, on the opinions of others. Your worth is inherent. It is the granite of your mountain. It simply is. When you truly start to believe this, to feel this in your bones, the words of others begin to lose their sting. An insult is like a spark landing on wet ground. It simply fizzles out. There's nothing for it to ignite. A person who is secure in their own value does not need the world to validate it for them. This leads us to another crucial distinction that dismantles a second common misconception. Many people believe that this approach of not reacting is a form of suppression, of bottling things up. They think it's unhealthy to not express your anger or hurt. But there is a world of difference between unhealthy suppression and healthy observation. Suppression is like taking the storm clouds and forcing them down into a cave within your mountain. They are still there, trapped and building pressure. Eventually, this will lead to an internal earthquake, anxiety, depression, or an explosive outburst. That is not what we are aiming for. Healthy observation, on the other hand, is the art of mindful detachment. It is sitting on the peak of your mountain and simply watching the clouds as they drift by. You see a dark cloud approaching the hurtful comment. You acknowledge it. You might even name it. Ah, that is the cloud of judgment. I feel the coolness of its shadow. It carries the energy of pain. You feel the emotion it evokes in you, a pang of sadness, a flash of anger, and you observe that too. There is the feeling of being stung. But you do not identify with it. You are not the cloud. You are not the storm. You are the mountain that is witnessing the storm. You are the vast, open sky in which the cloud appears and, just as importantly, disappears. This practice, rooted in mindfulness, allows you to feel your feelings without being consumed by them. You honor your emotional response without giving away your power. The feeling is a visitor, passing through your awareness. It is not the house itself. This shift in perspective is the breakthrough moment. It is the pivot from victim to observer. The aha moment comes when you truly internalize, on a deep emotional level, that their words are not a verdict on your character, but a confession of their own. It is a moment of profound liberation. You are no longer a defendant in the courtroom of their opinion, desperately trying to prove your innocence. You are simply watching them read their own diary aloud. At this point, the metaphor evolves. You are no longer just on the mountain, seeking its shelter. You realize that you are the mountain. Your true self, your consciousness, is this vast, unshakable, silent presence that has been there all along. The storm is not happening to you. It is simply an event happening within the vast space of your awareness. The sense of being a target dissolves, replaced by a sense of spaciousness and peace. This is where the concept of justice or karma, which we touched upon earlier, finds its true and healthy meaning. The justice is not some external force that will punish the other person. The punishment is not something you wish upon them. The true justice is the natural law of the psyche. Their bitterness is its own prison. they are trapped inside their own storm, buffeted by the winds of their own resentment and insecurity. Your freedom, your victory, is realizing that you were never in that prison with them. You were always free, standing in the clear air on your own summit. When you see this clearly, the desire for revenge, the need for them to get what they deserve, simply melts away. It becomes irrelevant. Why would a mountain wish ill upon a passing cloud? Its nature is to be still and to endure. Your nature is to be peaceful and to be free. And this, finally, brings us to the highest and most powerful practice of all: compassion. When you are secure in your own being, when you are firmly rooted in your own mountain-like strength, you can afford to look down at the raging storm in the valley, angry, hurting person not with anger or contempt, but with a kind of sad understanding, a form of compassion. This is not a weak, sentimental feeling. It is the ultimate expression of strength. It is the recognition of shared humanity, even in its most broken form. You see their lashing out for what it is, a desperate cry from a soul in pain. You understand that their cruelty is a symptom of a deep inner poverty. You don't have to go down into the valley and get swept up in their storm. You don't have to fix them. But you can see them clearly, from your place of safety, and recognize their suffering. As the ancient sages have taught, the only way to truly break the endless cycle of hatred and retaliation is to meet aggression not with more aggression, but with a higher consciousness. In this case, it is the consciousness of compassion. To look upon the one who has hurt you, and to feel a sense of pity for the prison they have built for themselves. This is the final step in your own liberation. When you can do this, you have not only healed your own wound, you have introduced a powerful, healing energy into the world. You have learned a profound aspect of love called forgiveness. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. As the storm of their words passes, as all storms eventually do, the sun returns. The air feels clean and fresh. The mountain remains, perhaps a little weathered by the encounter, but ultimately unchanged in its core, its strength even more defined against the memory of the storm. This is the state of inner peace that is available to you. It is your birthright. So let's bring this into your life, right now. The next time a word stings, the next time you feel that familiar ache of a careless comment or a deliberate slight, I invite you to try this simple practice. Close your eyes, just for a moment. Take one deep breath. In your mind's eye, picture your mountain. See its vastness, its strength, its deep roots in the earth. Then, see the hurtful word or the feeling it created as a single, dark cloud. Don't fight it. Don't try to push it away. Don't analyze it. Simply watch it. See it float into the vast sky of your awareness. Notice its shape, its color, its texture. And then, with your breath, gently watch it drift by. Watch it continue on its journey until it disappears over the horizon. Feel the solid, unshakable ground of the mountain beneath you. That feeling of stillness, of solidity that is your truth. That is your strength. It has been there all along, and it will be there long after the memory of that cloud has faded. You are not the fleeting weather of the world's opinions. You are the mountain. You are the sky. You are the silent, spacious peace that holds it all.